What's up, people? Take a look at this tweet. That's most likely about the December 2014 execution-style killings of 2 New York City cops. Okay, remember this tweet while you're watching these 2 clips from the American TV show, Hard Copy. These clips show who was being accused of creating the atmosphere that caused the Oklahoma City bombing.
For Tuesday, April 25th, 1995, this is Hard Copy.
In the wake of the Oklahoma City bombing comes a terrifying reality that potential terrorists live among us. On the surface, they may seem to be ordinary members of our community, but in secret, their beliefs range from the radical to the delusional. And in some cases, they are extremely dangerous. Tonight, Doug Bruckner investigates America's underground rebels.
These are the images we will never forget. Innocent children being buried in Oklahoma City. One by one, they are laid to rest, including little Bailey Allman, whose sad story leaves an indelible mark in all our minds and hearts. Her gravesite lists her age as a year and a day, and in the plot right next to hers, another grave is already being dug. As the grim task of searching for the many still missing continues, an even more frightening story emerges, that other horrifying acts of terrorism may follow.
We're in a low-key civil war now. This is one of the beginning shots in that civil war, but this is a civil war now, and there's probably gonna be more random acts of violence.
Welcome to the secret world of America's underground army.
This is the army of the Lord in the United States for this moment.
They're called militias, a powerful concoction of God and guns. They may look like Boy Scouts, but at the core of this extreme right-wing movement, they teach people how to make bombs. There are books, too, many of them detailing sickening ways to kill. As this exclusive amateur video shows, these fringe rebels give suggestions on how to create mayhem and make war against the government.
Remember, you have to respond violently and quickly to defend your area of operation.
Oklahoma bombing suspect Timothy McVeigh was said to be part of this controversial movement. He was linked to a group called the Michigan Militia. The militia has not been implicated in the bombing, but federal authorities say the shadowy militia world is filled with violent rhetoric and war games, played with powerful weapons and live ammunition. It's a world where people are urged to prepare for war.
The blood is on your heads for not acting, because the blood will flow no matter what.
This is Mark Kornke of the Michigan Militia. He is not alone. There are some 30 self-styled citizen armies spread across the country, perhaps as many as 100,000 militiamen nationwide. They're mostly white male fundamentalist Christians. They're armed, angry, and outraged over government policies from taxation to gun control. Kornke hosts a talk show and is one of the most outspoken voices of the extreme right. He predicts that the U.S. government is on the verge of waging war against so-called patriots like himself, and he freely offers tips on warfare to his listeners.
Strike hard against a specific target. Destroy it. You must start to think of things in military terms your enemy is thinking in military terms.
Kornke made that statement a little over a year ago, and he's still playing the same violent tune.
We are talking about what is going to be open warfare against a tyrannical regime, against usurpers who are attempting to destroy the Constitution.
Kornke has emerged as a shadowy figure since the Oklahoma bombing. He now acknowledges sending this fax to a Texas congressman. The fax appears to make a cryptic reference to Oklahoma City. But Kornke refuses to explain anything about the fax. And curiously, federal investigators say they don't plan to question him. The Michigan militia reportedly expelled accused bomber McVeigh for being too militant. Maybe so, but there's nothing peaceful about the message Kornke delivers.
We shall grind them into the earth before they grind us into dust.
The Michigan militia attempted to recruit this man, who's so terrified of the group, he insisted we mask his identity.
They're arming quickly. If you ever attend a gun show, you'll see how quickly some of these guns and rifles and semi-automatic stuff is being snatched up by the populace.
He says the bombing in Oklahoma City is only the beginning. The reluctant recruit claims that the most extreme members of this right-wing underground have formed small cells to thwart penetration by federal agents.
Small cell group of 3 or 4 people that are really serious about doing some harm to their perceived enemy. If they're off by themselves doing these acts of violence, the rest of the militia might not know anything about it because the cell groups are separate entities under themselves.
But not all militias are wrapped up in secrecy and violence.
We have public meetings. They're open to people of all races, religion. The predominant thing is to be, as the Supreme Court has said, a citizen of the United States capable of bearing arms.
Carl Haggard calls himself a brigadier general of a Texas militia.
Genesis of the militias that sprung up is, I think, a social phenomenon in the United States in the last few years has been as a result of the federal government attempting to take away gun rights from law-abiding, decent law-abiding, God-fearing people.
But not all militiamen have been quick to condemn the Oklahoma City terror. Shockingly, some in the militias say they understand the motivation for that savage act. And it's that kind of twisted militia logic that haunts federal agents in the manhunt. The search for the others who may have worked with or given the orders to accused bomber Timothy McVeigh. McVeigh remains stone-faced and silent in his Oklahoma prison cell, not even reacting when agents show him pictures of the children killed.
Wednesday, April 26th, 1995. This is Hard Copy.
First, another day of sadness in a city torn apart by terrorism. As the people of Oklahoma City try to make some sense of this horrible tragedy, we've uncovered a shocking document that may provide some answers. A 90-page manual which provides step-by-step instructions on how to overthrow the government. Doug Bruckner reports.
The search for answers continues, and some warn there could be more violence because they say there are more would-be terrorists out there, secret soldiers in secret armies, like the paramilitary groups bombing suspect Timothy McVeigh sympathized with. They call themselves the Free Militia, and they mix God and guns in a powerful blend. They're poised to wage war and overthrow the government. Skip Porteous at the Institute for First Amendment Studies has been following the militias for years.
I believe at this very moment there are militia groups training and planning other assaults on federal buildings.
This is the Bible for the extreme right, field manual for the Free Militia. This secret handbook, uncovered by Hard Copy, circulates among gun-toting militia members who pledge allegiance to the shadowy cult-like armies. They say they're persecuted by the federal government, and they swear to use all means necessary to defeat that enemy.
The one factor that has brought this movement together in such a way as we see now is Waco. They saw the federal government assault that church, as they call it, at Waco, and they felt that if this could happen to this group, they could be next.
Federal investigators say the right-wing underground was the world Timothy McVeigh lived in. McVeigh and the Nichols brothers, Terry and James, charged yesterday in a bomb conspiracy, were once linked to the Michigan militia. Hard Copy has learned from an FBI affidavit that a neighbor of James Nichols told agents he heard Nichols say that, quote, judges and President Clinton should be killed.
This is Automatic Kalashnikov, AK-47.
Mark Kornke, an outspoken member of the Michigan militia, admits his organization sent a mysterious fax to a congressman the day of the bombing. In January, Kornke went on TV to rant about a coming revolution.
We are talking about what is going to be open warfare against a tyrannical regime.
Secrecy ranks high among the list of virtues extolled in the Free Militia Handbook. Members swear never to willfully betray the militia's principles, members, or tactics. If the accused bomber, Timothy McVeigh, is one of them, he is certainly keeping to the militia code. Timothy McVeigh isn't talking.
This is simply a ploy to protect other members of his group. He's probably been sworn to secrecy.
Free militia members are expected to lead double lives. Their manual warns, keep your mouth shut, keep your wife and kids out of it. And it contains a whole section on outfitting yourself for combat. But when you buy your guns, the book commands, never sign anything. Never give your name. Always pay with cash.
Many of the groups will use stolen weapons. They can't be traced to them if they leave them behind. They insist that the members have the same weapons and the same ammunition as the federal authorities. So if they shoot an FBI agent, they can take his weapon and the bullets are interchangeable.
The handbook also urges members to study this video about Waco, and it rewrites both the Old and New Testament. Quote, Jesus Christ both permitted and commanded followers to be armed, it proclaims. And Jesus Christ will someday use deadly force on a wide scale.
They have picked out certain scriptures that defend what they're doing. And as a result, many of these groups are racist or anti-Semitic, and they can base that on their interpretation of certain scriptures.
The free militia is now making its way onto the computer internet. Some are now calling it the terror net. On the computer, some say, users can now pull up bulletin boards where they can discuss war tactics, even learn about new deadly weapons. And now there's new information linking Oklahoma bombing suspect Timothy McVeigh with the group called the Michigan Militia and one of its most visible members, Mark Kornke. Two members of a Florida militia have come forward to say they saw McVeigh and Kornke together at a Florida militia meeting.
He come down with Mark from Michigan to see the Davidians that were there speaking to us. He was, pretty mysterious guy. They were pretty close together during the whole rendezvous.
Mark Kornke continues to deny any involvement in the bombing and any connection to McVeigh. And Kornke says McVeigh was kicked out of the Michigan militia for being too militant.
Should more aptly be labeled as anarchists, not right-wingers. They don't advocate a right-wing conservative viewpoint. They go to the extreme of anarchy. Thank you.
All right, that's it for now.